Morning, everyone. Thanks for coming out. Big crowd, that's excellent. So this morning I'm going to be going over our TxF series printers. If you don't know it, we'll kind of get in depth, and how to take care of them as well, which is a really important factor of having one. So, all right, so our Mimaki TxF series, what is it? So our TxF series printers are DTF direct-to-film printers for producing DTF print transfer sheets. Our PHT50 heat transfer pigment ink for DTF consists of 5 colors. So you've got your cyan, magenta, yellow, black, and our spot white. And it's acquired the Eco Passport certification, which is essential for obtaining the International Safety Standard for Textile Products, the OECO Tex. All right, so these are our production sizes. So you can see we've got our TxF 150/75, which we've got, it's the first one in line there. It's a single print head with a 30-inch printable wide with the spot ink, spot white ink. And we've got our TxF 375 just beside it there with the second print head. Same ink set, so CMYK with the white. And our new TxF 300 1600. So it's double the width for printing, and the 2 print heads with the spot white. Okay, so all of our TxF machines have the Mimaki core technologies. So with the 1440 DPI resolution, the staggered dual print heads on the 2 models, our variable dot technology with the heated platens. We've got a nozzle dropout detection and a nozzle recovery function, which is really important. So it's one of our key techs. Basically, we have a technology that can actually automatically recover nozzles. So if you've got permanent missing nozzles, years down the line, you can turn this feature on, and what it'll do is it'll use other nozzles to print for those missing nozzles, up to 10 nozzles per line. We've also got our Mimaki circulation technology. So this is one of our key features for the TxF. So one of the safety features we have is the white ink will circulate in the machine. So from the damper all the way to the bag. So the white ink will keep moving and not settle and not be an issue. We've also got a little safety on it telling you to shake the bag as well, just to get that ink flowing. Moving on, so our DTF workflow. So you can see that we provide the machine, and we provide the RIP software and the printer, which will then go to your shaker system with the hot melting powder and into the heat press. So just to touch on the software, this is our Mimaki Rasterlink software, which comes with the machine. That will be free as well. All right, so I'm just going to show you a quick video. Hopefully I get some sound on this, just to show you our machine in action. Yeah, sure.
Are there any other software required other than the RIP? Obviously, we design software, Photoshop.
Oh, yeah. Did you want to speak through the mic here? Yeah. So we've got a little mic that we can hear your question there. There we go. Just flip it to on. Some tech problems. Got it.
So this is okay. There you go. What other software is required other than Photoshop or your design software?
So in terms of running it, Rasterlink can do the job. That comes with it. I, in the office, typically use Rasterlink when I'm running mine. You can use a third-party RIP, CADlink, Onyx. There are softwares that work with it as a third-party RIP, but you can use just Rasterlink.
So that's the main software that we sell with the solution is the CADlink RIP. Has a little bit more functionality than standard Rasterlink, which is why now we basically sell that with every single printer. There's certain things that help with color accuracy and the ability to lay down less white or dark
All right, so I'll just give you a little video so you can see a demonstration of the TxF series.
We want to encourage you to ask any questions. This was a very interactive event. Any questions that you guys have at any time, raise your hand.
Wireless mic? Where's the wireless mic?
Rob's coming.
Oh.
All right, so you guys got to see the printer in action there. Just a little slide showing some of the designs that we've made on t-shirts and bags. We do have samples as well that you can see today. All right, now to touch on some of the tech behind our machines. So we've got the MRAs, that's the Mimaki Remote Access. Basically, it's an app that you can use to control the printer remotely. So you can run cleanings, get information on the printer currently, so live data. We've also got our Mimaki cloud technology called PICT, which will give you precise data, so ink usage, jobs that have been printed, job history. You can update the machine through it. So some really good tech that'll help you while you're not on the floor with your machine. You can do this while you're away. You can have it running overnight and know what's happening with your machine. All right, so I'm going to move on to our maintenance and kind of the environment that you would want the machine to be in. All right, so we're going to go over your printing environment, the impact of your equipment, media, and inks, and maintenance on the machine. All right, so first, really important is your printing environment. So you can see we've got some temperatures and humidity listed, 15 to 30 degrees. I would say that if you're at 15 degrees, you may still have some issues. Probably static issues, viscosity issues with the ink. Your humidity, 35 to 65. If you're below that, you're going to end up getting some static with your film, especially with the film. The backers tend to get a lot of static. So you do want to have a good range of humidity. You can see there it's showing the optimal humidity, 40 to 50, and that would be the range that I would go for. Your optimal temperature, 20 to 25. Again, that's the range you really, really want to hit if possible. In terms of dust, office level dust, you don't want to have it in a workshop beside a routing machine or something like that. And ventilation as well. All right, so what can happen? So with the wrong temperatures, you can have an overheat of the motors, print heads, and boards. So the machine's already got heat in it. It's got fans to cool it down, but if your environment isn't correct, those fans won't be doing much. Static discharge, so we talked about humidity. So what'll happen is if it's really dry in your place, the ink won't jet properly. You'll have some misprints, you'll have some blurry prints, damage to mechanical components. So again, your motors, print heads, fans, the ink delivery system. All right, so it'll increase the wear, which will cost you more in the end. Build up contaminants in the ink, right? So that'll damage the print heads and your dampers and the ink system. And increase your maintenance, so more time involved in maintaining these. And in the end, it'll increase your cost of operation. All right, just to give you a little idea, so your film is susceptible to static discharge. You can see the picture, you can see kind of some streaks happening, some overspray, sorry. So it can deform the substrate, cause media feeding issues and take-up issues, skew the print. The coating may be affected on your film since it's typically water-based. All right, and the impact to your media and ink, right? So it's going to be more maintenance, media damage, repairs, reprints, and it's all a cost to you. All right, so printer maintenance. So we're going to kind of go over some of the features and the maintenance that'll need to be done on the TxF printer. So just to give you a little slide here when you're printing with a gap, so there's some head heights on the machine. What will happen is if you're printing too high from the film, this is where you're going to start to have some dot misplacement. You can actually have some ink come back onto the print head, which is more maintenance for you, so you want to make sure you're printing at the correct height. The machine automatically prints at a 1.5 millimeter distance from the media, so there's no need to go too high. All right, so we'll go over the daily care, the weekly printer maintenance, and the long-term storage. So what is the daily care? All right, so daily care consists of cleaning the head carriage and the base plate, cleaning the capping station, cleaning the wiping station, and cleaning the media sensors. So these are things you'd want to do daily. So you can see in the first picture there, the wiper. So the machine does have a wiper for its automatic purging. So the machine will purge, and then a wiper will come and wipe that printhead from the ink that is sitting on it. So if you're not cleaning that wiper, essentially what you're doing is you're just wiping more ink back onto the printhead. So it's a little slide showing you how to clean that wiper. Then you've also got your cap rubber. So the printhead, during its automatic purge, will go and sit on these two caps. Underneath the caps, there is some pumps that draw the ink out. And if those caps are not cleaned, essentially what's happening is ink's going back onto the printhead or not creating a good seal, right? So when it's trying to purge, not enough ink will be pulling through, and you'll have a lot of the nozzle drop out. And then you've got a slide of where to clean around the printhead. So again, if you have ink left around the printhead, it's not going to create a good seal when it sits on those caps during the purge, and you'll get a lot of nozzle dropout. And last, we've got a picture of kind of a dirty printhead and where you'd want to clean. So you can see right here, you've got some ink laying around where those caps would sit. So that's kind of where you're going to be cleaning. All right, to prepare for cleaning, essentially there are some steps. Most of our machines are all the same. There's a function in the menu that you go to, and it will move the carriage over into a maintenance slot, which is found on the left side of the machine with an easy access port. So you can just pull it down, lift up the door, and access the print heads. And at the same time, over on the right, you can access your wiper and the caps and clean those all at the same time. Honestly, our maintenance on our majority of our machines takes about less than 5 minutes, so it's not going to take a lot of time for you to do this, so I always recommend doing it. It'll save you in your prints and your cost. Another thing that you'd want to do is to clean around the print heads. So we say cleaning the print heads and the caps are very important. There is some kind of sponges on the machine, so when the wiper is wiping the print head, it's pushing ink over, which actually can get some ink back onto the bottom of the carriage in these spots that are highlighted here. And you can see what it kind of looks like beside. So if you were to leave that, those sponges would actually get pretty soaked up and not be able to absorb ink anymore. And what it would be doing is just kind of painting on your print head every time it comes over. So you want to make sure to clean those areas there. It'll get really gummed up. It'll catch on the cap station and basically just kind of rip the sponges up and now cause issues when you're printing. So you can see the difference between a dirty carriage and you can see the difference between a clean carriage there. All right, and this is a picture of what a dirty cap looks like compared to a clean cap, right? So we've got a lot of buildup, a lot of ink sitting in there, and the difference between a clean cap. I recommend to clean this with a TxF daily. You know, every time I'm going to print, if I have a buildup there and I run that purge, I get a lot of dropout. So it's a really important, with this type of ink, the viscosity thickens pretty quick and it will cause issues. All right, and this is kind of a picture of cleaning the wiper. You can see how the buildup would affect it. So it's just going to basically put ink back onto the print head as it's wiping. Just to give you an idea, if I was to see a wiper looking like this that I do in the image, it kind of looks warped. I would probably change this wiper, to be honest. So you're looking for a little warpage, and they're easy to change. You just pull them up, and U1 clicks right in. So everything, changing these kind of things are really easy. All right, so cleaning the media sensors. So we do have a media sensor that goes across and will check for the width of your media automatically for you, so you don't have to punch it in. And it can get gummed up. You can get some ink on those sensors. So wiping them down is pretty important, or else you're going to get a lot of errors when you're setting up your media. All right, so here's our weekly printer maintenance. So it involves cleaning the print platen, cleaning the exterior of the printer, emptying and resetting the waste ink tank, and cleaning the ink discharge path, which is basically the pumps. All right, so cleaning the platen, pretty important. If you have any ink buildup, what will happen is your media won't be able to feed through properly. It'll get caught, or you'll get a lot of ink on it, which will go into your shaker and dirty up your shaker. So giving that a wipe on every week. Cleaning the exterior of your printer, so basically taking off the dust and buildup that can fall onto your media as it's coming through. And emptying and resetting the waste ink tank. So the machine's on a timer, so as soon as you tell it, or when the machine is installed, it knows it's empty. And as it goes through its cleanings or printings, it adds up the amount of ink in there. When it's at about 80%, it's going to warn you and say, take a look, it's getting pretty high. Once it's at 85, it's going to say you need to empty it out before I continue printing. So essentially, you want to go in and empty that. Pretty easy. There's a little latch. It pulls out, and you can use a waste disposal to empty that. You can reuse. I tend to reuse the bottles. You can order new bottles if you'd like. I find that they last a long time. and return it. And now what you want to do is you want to tell the machine that it is empty. Sorry, got a question there?
Where do you dispose of the waste ink?
We actually have a company that comes in, they give us a waste barrel, right? And so what we'll do is we'll pour the inks into the waste barrel till it's full. They're large drums, we've got them at the back. And once they're full, we'll call them and they'll come pick it up. There is a cost to it, obviously, but with the amount of machines I've got in here, honestly, we're probably emptying it twice a year, so it's not a lot. So you'll be able to use it for quite some time.
Yours will probably last years. You only got one.
Yeah, the large barrels, yeah. Yeah, so like I said, just make sure to tell it that it is empty. If not, the counter continues, it won't let you print. Or if you were to tell it that it's done early, you might have an overflow. So make sure you're setting that at the right time. Nozzle wash. So we've got another tech here built in, which is really nice. So like I said, you can have some spray going back onto the print head, especially if you're printing at a higher head height than needed. Well, we do have a fix for that. So it's called a nozzle wash procedure, and it's a little function through the menu. What you do is you say select nozzle wash, and the carriage will move over, and it'll walk you through the procedure, which is basically taking some of the cleaning liquid that comes with the machine or that you can order, and when it tells you to, dropping it in, just like this picture here, and filling it up. And basically, once you've gone through the procedure, it's going to ask you how long you want to keep it in the nozzle wash. And what this is going to do is it's going to park the print heads onto those caps with the liquid in there, and it's going to allow the liquid to eat up any dried ink on the print head surface. So it's a really safe way for you to clean the print head surface. All right, so you can tell it, 10 minutes, you can tell it an hour, and it'll do that for you. So you don't have to sit there wiping it. You can do what you need to do while it's doing it on its own. All right, once it's done, it'll automatically run a cleaning for you, and you can do a nozzle test and see if it is good. If not, you can repeat the procedure. All right, and so we've got some...
We got somebody with a question here.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, the question is how often you do the nozzle.
So it makes it really easy.
But the key is to turn the power on.
The main switch, yeah. Any other questions on nozzle wash?
If you have trouble with that ink, when you put it overnight, will that come up in the dampers or anything? If you leave it that long?
I actually haven't had issues with it really going backwards, just because of the design of it. It's gravity fed, so it tends to stay there, which is nice. Any other questions? I'll move on to the next slide. So grease points and lubricant types. So I don't know if you can see, but we've got lubricant types listed beside each one. So essentially you can lubricate these parts just on the pinch wheels. So we've got pinch wheels all across the platen on the machine. So there's a lubricating point that you'd want to lubricate. I would say every 6 months to a year you're lubricating. We've got grease points on the cap. So that cap, when the carriage is moving, it moves with it as it's capping. So you don't want that to get dried out, or else you may have an issue with the capping position. And then we've also got grease points on the wiper. So the wiper's automated, it comes out and then wipes. As it's moving in and out, it's removing some of that grease. It's drying out. So there's some grease points as well on the wiper system. Yeah. What kind of lubricant?
Yes.
I've got it listed here. If you want me to actually write it down,
Sorry.
it's okay. I think.
Your mic?
Sorry,
I think
guys.
so.
Just,
Is it this one?
sure. Just try again. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
So yeah. So the lubricating types I've got here, I can always write them down for you if you want to take it. So there's actually lubricant that you can get for Mimakis through Mimaki. So I've got the lubricant types if you ever wanted to get them. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I can get that for you. Yeah, not a problem. Any questions on the lubricating? Yeah.
All these instructions are online or in the manual?
Yeah, so we've got a care and maintenance manual. I'll actually, after this slideshow, I'll show you where to get all the information on the machine. We have a really good website with all the technical information and manuals that you'd want.
David, I'm just going to pass this around.
I'm just going to pass this around. You guys can just take a look at it if you haven't seen it. This is what the cap top looks like. And on the bottom, there's 2 tubes that attach to that. And then this is what the wiper looks like. So the wiper goes along, for those of you who don't know, goes along the bottom of the print head to remove any excess ink. So it's really important that you keep that clean. Whether you're using solvent or whatever type of technology you're using, if the ink builds up along that, then it cannot form a seal with the bottom of the print head, and then it can't work properly. So it's really simple to take care of. It only takes a few minutes, but just thought it'd be good for you guys to kind of see what this looks like. Just make sure I get that back after this. Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry, I missed that. Okay.
The question was, how often do you need to change the cap top?
So the cap top is typically about 6 months. I say that, but I've seen them go up to a year. It'll depend on usage, how often you clean it. Typically, I'll look at it, and a new one, if you once it gets to you, you'll see that the borders are pretty square. What will happen is, as it gets used, it'll open up and it'll start to flatten. What happens is, once you have a misshaped cap, you invite air during the cleaning cycle, so that purging cycle, and it just can't purge properly because it needs a good seal. So when you start to see the walls not look perfectly square, that's another reason to change it.
Yeah, another sign too on eco-solving machines, you'll notice as you look at the cap top, it's quite flat. The sponge material inside is very, very flat. But what happens as they get old, it loses its ability to absorb, and it starts to stick up. And you'll be able to tell. You'll kind of look at it and know the same way that you look at the wiper and you see it's kind of curved and no longer flat. That's another telltale sign that it's time to really change them out.
So I'll continue on. So we've also got a list of commonly replaced items. You know, sometimes we look at the machine and we think every part is just small replacement items, but there are some extra ones. You know, there's the pumps. The pumps are always moving. They're lubricated. They do wear out. So the pumps is a replaceable part. Then you've got your cap tops, which we just talked about. We've got your wiper and dampers as well. So dampers have a valve. Ink's always flowing through it. They do wear down as well. So the dampers typically last about 1 to 2 years for the dampers, typically depending on usage. Continue on. So another important feature is I did say we have a circulation technology. The machine once a day, typically once a day, will tell you to shake the white ink cartridges. So basically you can pull out the cartridge, shake it, and here it says shaking it, it says once a week now. You're doing it daily, and it says if you haven't shaken it for more than 3 days, 100 times. So you want to be doing it on the daily. It'll tell you when to do it, and that basically stops the separation from the titanium-based liquid inside. All right, so what I want... Oh,
One
sorry.
quick thing that we've noticed. So we've seen that if you rock it back and forth instead of doing an aggressive shake, it handles it. The ink handles a lot better. One thing that we've also noticed is that if you spend more time doing the rocking back and forth of the ink, the titanium dioxide mixes in a lot better, and you actually get much more vibrant whites. So if you're not doing enough shaking, you'll see that they look a little dull, similar to how it appear in DTG. It's the exact same concept. You really have to get that white titanium dioxide to blend in throughout the entire ink.
Just touching on what's... Sorry, guys. Just touching on what Zach said. So yeah, if you shake it aggressively, you're going to build up gas or air in the cartridge, and that will be a big issue. So you want to be gentle and just shake it gently. I guess we could open it up for some questions, and then I want to take you just over to the website so you can see where to get a lot of this information. So does anyone have any questions? Yeah.
Got a couple.
So we mentioned this a while ago. When you're cleaning up the little bits like around
Yeah, to be honest, if you're wiping it and you're unsure about touching the nozzles, I wouldn't be worried. What I would do is be more worried about having the cleaning swab flat. Because even if you were to touch the nozzles, it won't do anything as long as you're flat. If you were to kind of have it straight up with some pressure, you may damage the nozzles. So I wouldn't worry too much about touching them. It's just that you're flat without putting a lot of upward pressure. So if there's a big buildup, what I tend to do is just wipe it more. Don't put any more pressure just because it's dirty. You're just wiping it more. It will eventually come off as the liquid eats up the ink.
Yeah, let the cleaning solution do its job. The question for those in the back that maybe didn't hear was when you're cleaning around the print head mechanism itself, you know, how concerned do you need to be about touching the nozzles with the cleaning swab? And essentially, it's not a huge worry. You know, you don't need to be aggressive with the amount of pressure that you use. Put lots of fluid on the clean swab and just gently do it. The fluid will break down the ink and clean that off. You just may find yourself, if you haven't done it, if you've neglected it for a little while, it's going to be more work than if you're doing it on a regular basis. Just keep using those swabs and you'll get to it. It'll take care of itself. And there was a couple of things I wanted to mention. I don't know if this got covered while I was looking for the part, but we talked about the titanium dioxide in the white ink. So it doesn't matter what white ink you use, whether it's equal solvent or whether it's UV or whether it's direct to film or pigments, they all have that in them, and that in itself will settle. I mean, that is just the nature of the beast, and so that's why ink circulation systems are really, really important in these machines. But what Mimaki's done that's a little bit different than our competitors is we don't just circulate to the top of the damper. Is everybody familiar with what a damper is? Sometimes I forget, you know, we haven't given you guys the Mimaki English dictionary, so let me explain what that term is. So basically, above the print heads in all these machines is a device called a damper. It creates negative pressure so that the ink doesn't just fall out of the machine. It has a few other functions, but that's kind of the main one. But that damper is always full of ink. So if you're not circulating ink in the damper as well when you're running these white ink machines, you're going to be more likely to be prone to more maintenance issues. So someone might say, oh, we have ink circulation. Make sure they have ink circulation also within the damper. That's very, very important. And then to David's point earlier about air bubbles or gas in the ink itself, you know, the ink is in a pre-degas, and that's why it's put in aluminum packaging. So we actually remove the gas in it when we put it into the packaging. So when you see these open systems where you're pouring ink, you know, in a jug, that kind of thing, not only is that kind of a recipe for maintenance disasters because it doesn't take a very small, you know, object to block a print nozzle, you're also running the risk of having that naturally build up gas. So just a couple of points I thought I'd share.
That functionality that we're talking about of having ink recirculation through the damper, that is probably one of the most revolutionary technologies in this piece of equipment. As you guys know, we've been selling the Chinese machines for over 5 years, and you know, you really need to be dialed in. There's very little room for error. You know, there's not that much tolerance to be successful with that equipment. You know, people go on vacation for a week and a half, for example, and they come back and the heads are clogged and they're constantly flushing every single morning. So having that recirculation through the damper is going to allow you to have, you know, a little bit more forgiveness with your equipment, right? And not have to come in every single Monday and flush and flush and flush and flush, which is something that's very common with a lot of the Chinese machines. So yeah, that was one thing that, you know, when Mimaki was working on this technology that, you know, us as dealers all pushed to implement, and they did. And that is one of the biggest features that they've included in there that's really made it a lot easier for us to use and for our customers as well.
So I think we had another question here.
So the pads next to the cartridge or the pads around, the pads around on mine seem to get dirty quite fast. So I don't believe we can replace those units by themselves.
You can, yeah. So there's a absorber pad set, it's called.
Sorry, Dave, can you just repeat the question so that everyone...
Sure, so this is the pads that I was talking about beside the caps that get dirty. I believe that's what we're talking about. So they're called the cap absorber pads, and what it is if you don't notice, there's actually clips on the actual black tray that sits around everything. It's actually a whole piece that clips out, and when you order a new set, it comes as a new clip-in piece with new pads already on it. So I would say I find that they do get dirty pretty quick, especially that ink. It does, like I said, the viscosity gets thick pretty quick, so it doesn't absorb as well as time goes on. So, so I would have a couple on hand. I'd have like 2 on hand at all the time. Can you flush them? I don't think I've tried to wipe them down, and I find with that ink it's a little more difficult because as you're wiping it, it actually hardens. So you'll start to get some chunks, and what will happen is it'll go back onto the carriage. So I don't recommend wiping them.
I would consider that consumable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, there should be a scheduled maintenance list in the manuals. Can you confirm, is that?
Yeah, I'll take you guys over to the manual where you can find a secure and maintenance manual that'll give you timing for everything.
No, a couple more questions here.
I noticed that the egg that we're buying has have an expiration date.
Okay,
After the
expiration.
expiration date, how long or how many months we can able to use it?
Right, okay, so the question was about the expiry dates on the ink. So a couple of points on that. Number one, all of our inks are undergoing a process under which the expiry dates are going to be longer. But when you get a notification on your machine that the ink is expired, you still have 30 days within which to use it, and you have no operator intervention is required for that first 30-day period. And I believe, I know on our other technologies, I'm not sure about TxF, so please correct me if I'm wrong. After the first 30 days beyond expiry, there's actually another 30 days. The only difference with the second 30-day period is that you have to intervene and press a button acknowledging that the ink is expired. So you have 60 days beyond expiry date within which to use the ink, correct?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Manufacturer dates and expiry date.
To be honest with you, sir, I'd have to find that out for you. Yeah, if you like, I can reach out to our business manager. His name is Alfredo Cruz, and ask him if he can tell me off the top of my head. I'm sorry, I don't know. I'd like to find out. Is there another question? Kevin?
I just want to get clarity in my own mind. In terms of shaking the inks, you clearly have to shake the white ink.
Correct.
Do you have to shake the color ink at all, the other colors? And how often should you shake the white ink? On a daily basis, if you're running 2 shifts, should you stop after 8 hours, give it a shake? Or do you just let it run for that 12 or 14 hours?
Yeah, so hopefully everyone heard the question, but it was essentially how often do we need to shake the white ink? That was the first part of the question, and I think the second part of the question was, do we need to shake the cartridges for the other colors? I think I would preface this answer by first saying the word shake is kind of a bad word. We don't really want to shake the ink cartridge. Really what you want to do is just rock it gently back and forth. As we mentioned earlier, if you actually physically shake that thing like it's a pepper shaker or something, you actually run the risk of introducing bubbles into the ink, which we don't want to do. As far as I know, the white ink is the only one that requires agitation. And again, that's because it has titanium dioxide in it, which is a compound that can settle, which is why we do that. The machine will prompt you at an appropriate time when you need to agitate the ink. My suggestion would be simply to follow those prompts, or if you're the type of person who likes a little extra due diligence. What I used to do with my machine maintenance, like my cleanings, which are not a long process, I would just do them at the start of my shift. So I'd come in, get my coffee, take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, clean around the cabs, clean around the heads, agitate my ink, and then start my day. But the machine will prompt you. David, do you have comments you want to add to that?
No, that's perfect, Lucas. That was perfect. Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
You have another question? Is there a way to change the prompt time? That's a good question.
That's to shake the white ink.
Okay, so you're getting the prompt, midday. Now, is there a way, if we were to just come in and do like my routine where we shake the ink or agitate the ink in the morning, and then could we tell the machine that we've done that, and then thereby negate the afternoon reminder?
No, it's all based on firmware. So, sorry, the simple answer is no. It's gonna prompt you, and it's based on firmware. Yeah.
So it may change in the future with future firmware updates, but for now, that's it. Yes, sir. Okay, so the question was, is there a difference between doing the maintenance either in the morning at the start of your shift or at the end of the day? Personally, I think it's personal preference. I don't think it really matters. I always used to like to do it as part of my morning routine because I could validate with some nozzle checks in the early part of the morning that, you know, I have all my nozzles working and everything's clean and kind of ready to go. I mean, I think it's really a matter of personal preference. You know, it doesn't really matter when you change the oil on your car as long as you do it every 5,000 kilometers or thereabouts. You know what I mean? It's kind of the same sort of thing. As long as you're, you know, being consistent with your maintenance, I think you'll be fine. And it's funny because I've been in this industry for over 20 years, and a lot of times people, you know, when you go and you shop for a vehicle, you know, you typically ask about the cost of ownership, right? You want to know how much your fuel is going to cost you per 100 kilometers. You want to know how often you have to change your oil and your brakes and all this kind of stuff. And folks buy printers and don't tend to put a lot of thought into that. And I don't see a lot of manufacturers actually speaking about that either. But the fact of the matter is, if you have a printer, you're going to have regularly scheduled maintenance that you're going to need to take care of. And because that device is really, if it's down, you're not generating revenue, right? So it's really, really critical that when we buy these things, we make sure they're in a good environment and we take care of them. Yes?
Well, back on third question with the shakes, if it prompts you midday, you would have to say the job or getting caught.
So the question is, will it, if it prompts you midday, so you're saying kind of like mid-job, if you're in the middle of a print, is it going to prompt you and interrupt your job? I don't believe it will. David, can you confirm?
No, it won't stop a job. It'll pop up after a job, after it's done being in the remote process. So when you put it back to local, that's when it'll prompt you.
Yeah. So typically what happens is the firmware in the machine will kind of understand the ink set that's in there, and it's going to just monitor how much usage you have. And it's a little bit like your odometer in your car. It's going to pop up at 5,000 K and say, okay, change your oil now. It's a similar process. Any other questions? Perfect. Okay, so what's next?
Okay, so I'll take you through finding all the tech information. So let me just end the slideshow here, and I'll open up a site. So our site that with really good tech information is Mimaki.com, and so we've got a couple different sections here which would be really useful to you. One is the download section. So what I do is I'll go to the download. I'll find my machine. So in this case, we would say our TxF. So let's say it's a 375. And under the download section, we've got a whole bunch of info. So one, we've got profiles you can download. In Rasterlink 7, these are for Rasterlink, I should mention. In Rasterlink 7, you can do it through the software, so there's no need to come here anymore. We have your drivers available as well. So that's the Mimaki driver. And we have a manuals section. All right, so this is the key part. So you can see we've got a care and maintenance manual, and we've got an operation manual. Operation manual walks you through every menu in the machine. If you've got a question that you can't remember, you come to this manual. It's all indexed. You click on your question, it'll take you to the right section. And same with our care and maintenance. So I'll open this up. You can have a quick look, and it's got some really helpful information.
So just for purposes of clarity, this is Mimaki.com, not MimakiUSA.com. So they are two different websites. This is our parent site from our engineering company in Japan. So Mimaki.com is where you're going to find all this.
And you can see it's listed here, kind of the timing as well. So if you go through this and maybe print it out, or just refer to this, and it tells you when to do it, how to do it. So if I were to click on daily cleaning the wiper and cap, click on it, and it shows me how to do it. Visuals. It's a really useful manual. And just to touch on Mimaki.com as well, so I've got my download section. I've also got a supply section. So if I'm under my machine, which I've clicked on the left, I have a supply section. And what this will do is it'll take me to part numbers and kind of what is meant for this machine. So if I'm wondering, I need more cleaning liquid, which one is it? You can come here, and we've got maintenance liquid. It takes you right to it. So this is the cleaning liquid. Ones that we showed you, you put into the caps, clean around the print head. And we've got a cartridge, which sits on the outside, which will run empty and give you a little message, so you can order that. And we've also got, scroll up, accessories as well. So you need a new wiper or a new sheet cut blade. Where do I find it? There's your wipers. So they come as a kit. So it's under supply on Mimaki.com. Really, really useful. Yeah. Any questions on this stuff here? All right, I think, yeah, that's it. I guess it's coffee time, like you said, yeah.
All right, guys, we got some coffee and stuff over here. Let's get caffeinated and we'll get ready for the next session. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Good job, Bill.